So today we're reading Roman Rudin's story, part 2 of A Turkish Middlegame. There we go. And so we're in part 2, so we're on the third page. So Eliza, so it's over to you, and I think you have and here we go here. So it starts with 10 even. Give me some examples. There you go, Lisa. Over to you then.
Okay. 10 even? Give me some examples so I can counter them. Perhaps I could suggest Andre Bailey. Events above, making the whole city a hero of our time, and then sending and then sending it off to the war. Yes, those wounds are still bleeding. Let's not talk about the war. Let's talk about style, about the metaphorical. Let's jump over the second row to the first. What do you think of Bulgakov? Or are you tired of that era? We found ourselves again on a broad. We found ourselves again on a broad stone road and walked side by side, illuminated by a crescent moon and Sirius under it. No, it's sort of outside of time. Though I sometimes think that all even Blago's trials and tribulations. Sorry, I read in a bad way. I sometimes think that all even Blago's trials and tribulation, all the events that followed the meeting with a stranger on a bench near the water, just like us, my companion chuckled.
Mm-hmm.
I glanced at him. His profile didn't seem sinister to me. But you and I know each other. Tough. Sorry. It's too. Uh, I don't see. I don't see
Yeah.
the part.
So yeah.
It's too. You're a foreigner, but I'm reluctant to see the entire story as anything other than a justification for the master's headlong rush towards her. Yes, nowadays people seem to use the fashionable word escape, escapism,
Mm-hmm.
escapism
Mm-hmm.
for it, but in those days I led to such um, I led to such consequences. Well, who else? Perhaps we have exhausted the first row, unless you want to include Bunin. Before that, there was Guy de Maupassant. Though, to be fair, he didn't write any novels. I see you are having fun going through the great authors starting with B. It was the easy thing to do. You are right. The great and mighty Russian language has exhausted itself. Has exhausted itself, he said, before asking me in English, what would you say of those who consider Russian not their only mother tongue?
Mm. Yes. Well done. Well done. You did
I-
very well there. You kept going. You did everything. You gave everything a good go, I think. Well done. Um, any words you didn't understand?
yes.
Right, okay.
Chocolate.
Yeah, you pronounce it very well, chuckled. So if you laugh, you chuckle.
Oh,
If you laugh, you chuckle. So it's chuckle, laugh basically. And ed makes it into the past tense. That's it. Another word for laugh. Anything else?
not. Wait.
Hmm.
La, la, uh, laugh. Laught. No.
It sounds like laugh. So
La,
L-A,
gh.
is that the
L.
word there?
Ah, okay, okay.
Is that the word?
Yes, yes, yes.
Well, again, that is laugh. That is
Laugh.
laugh. Yes.
The
Yeah.
chocolate means
Laugh
laugh.
and chuckle.
Okay.
Ha ha
There's
ha
a
ha ha. You're doing it. That's it. Yes.
glanced
Oh, a glance. So a
glance.
glance is a very quick look, to quickly look at something and then look away.
Un'occhiata.
You're not staring. Ah, thank you. Thank you. A momentary look at something. A brief or hurried look, it says there. Does that make sense? Can you hear me?
Is preferred
Oh, if you
seen.
can just say out loud, otherwise I don't know. Okay.
There's another
Mm.
another. Wait, I uh, do you find Headlong?
Headlong is that?
Headlong.
Headlong. So if you fall over, you might say that you fell over headlong. So you fell over forwards. Sometimes you might say that you fell in love with someone. Headlong, fell in love, headlong. So it's this idea of being uncontrolled, falling over, fall in a forward fashion. I didn't. So whereabouts is headlong? I don't really remember that. Headlong. Oh, I do vaguely somehow. Does that make sense? What I just said?
Yes.
Okay.
There is
Ah, yes. Yeah.
escapism
Yes.
is
So, mm,
a movement,
a
a
movement.
artistic movement.
I suppose so. Yeah, there probably is an artistic movement, but I think in this sense, maybe it is. Um, but I think in everyday life, people practice escapism, and that's really the way I was thinking about this.
To
So
escape from
how
something,
would you explain this word then? What meaning do you think this has, this word, escapism?
to use the
Oh, it's come up here. So the tendency to seek distraction and relief from unpleasant realities, especially by seeking entertainment or engaging in fantasy. So if you spend your time dreaming at work because work is just very, very hard, then that's a kind of escapism. Escapism. So
mm,
escaping from reality because it's difficult. Oh, that's escapism.
there's something uh, other word, another word.
Hmm.
What, um, let's see, is it? No, it's okay. To,
Okay.
mm, okay.
It's okay. So I do remember headlong now, and I can't see it on the screen myself. So and thinking about it, I remember now because um, a lot of the places where the word starts with an H, so such as this word here, heavens, you really sort of missed out the H at the front. the word, and you sort of said Evans, Evans. I can't quite copy your pronunciation,
But
but we all.
events, events in the
Mm,
uh,
yes.
events,
Well, this word here that I've highlighted, I would pronounce that
religious
as. Sorry.
is a religious word.
Um, I would say he's really referring to the sky here. The sky. It could also be the sky, but it's. I think he's really sort of using it as a kind of a swear word in a way, as a,
Okay,
as a way to
yes.
saying he's annoyed about something or surprised.
In Italian, we say Santo Cielo. Some,
Sant'Itriello. Okay.
yes.
Okay.
Some,
I didn't know that. No, thank you.
I think is the
Hmm.
same meaning.
Possibly.
The-
Yeah.
Is
So let me tell you a little bit about this word then. So a lot of the time when a word starts with the letter H, we pronounce it in English. Obviously, in
mm,
French, it doesn't get pronounced. It's just an A to the rest of the. It tells you something about the rest of the word. But in English, we generally pronounce the word, the letter H at the front of a word. So I think here you missed it off, that word there. I think you sort of missed it off for this one. And perhaps even the word he, I think you missed it off. And there were a few others. Having, there was the word having. So let me just type out some of these words while I now think of it, and we'll just practice them a little bit. So there was heavens. I can't, forgive my spelling, I've misspelled heavens there, but you know the word, hopefully. There was the word he. I think the word he came up. What else was it? It was, and the word having a walk, having something to eat. I can't remember where it came. And there was probably one or two others, but I can't remember them now. Um, so maybe I'll just say these three words here for you. And with these words, I am pronouncing the H at the front. These all have an H to be said out loud. So the top one is heavens, heavens, heavens. But I think you were saying Evans, something like that. In English, this word here in the middle, this is he. So I'm doing sort of a breathing sound at the front. That's what I'm doing. He, he. It's sort of a heavy breathing, the H is. And this is having. But I think when you were saying this word, I was really just seeing having, having. So, do you fancy just running through these words just for practice, Elisa? So the top one is heavens. Do you want to run through them now for practice?
heavens,
Hmm.
heavens, he
Hmm.
having.
Yeah, that's it. You're getting it there. That's it. Yes. Most of the time we pronounce the H, but of course there's always one or two where we don't pronounce the H at the front, of course, which is tricky, isn't it? So I'm sure you'll spot them eventually. Um, okay. Um, and maybe, and I think when you sort of came to the bottom of this page here, and then went up here, it tripped you up slightly, I think, because of the chain. I think maybe you can't see it on the screen quite properly, I think. And this word didn't come out quite right, I think, at the top up here. So in English, we say this as foreigner, foreigner,
Foreigner.
foreigner.
Without G for E.
I suppose so, yeah, foreigner.
EG,
Yeah,
no pronounced.
yeah, yes. So
Foreigner.
often where you get some vowels with a G and an N or an H. It's a little unusual, isn't it? In English, it's a bit tricky. Yes, that we do have these words. I, th I was going to say where I think we get this from, but I don't quite know where we get that from. Yes. Um, what else was there? So we did chuckle. Um, oh, this was a tricky word here. So that's consequences. Consequences. Do you want to just practice? Yeah. Do you want to practice it? Yeah.
Consequences. No.
That's it. Consequences. Consequences. And again, could you do it again out loud so I can hear it?
Consequences.
Yeah, that's spot on. Absolutely spot on. You couldn't improve on that. That's very good. Well done.
Cons-
So it, as it's just said on the dictionary there, it's the result of something. So the result of something are the consequences, you might say. I crashed my car, and the consequences are I can't go to work now. Okay, or the result of that is. And maybe this word here. So we say this as escapism. Escapism. Do you want to say that again?
Escapism. Escaping. Escapism. Escapes. Escapes. Escapism. Escapism.
Do you want me to
No.
say it for you out loud so you can hear how it's said in English? So in English, we sort of say escape, basically.
Escape.
Listen a second. So we say escape, and then we sort of put the word or the sounds ism on the end of escape. Does that make sense? So we say escape ism. That's how it's pronounced. Escape ism. That's how it's said. Do you want to give that a go? So it's escapism.
Ah,
Escapism. You'll
okay.
go.
Escapism.
Yeah,
Escapism.
yeah. That's
Is
pretty good. So let me
escapism.
listen a second. So it's escape. Can you say escape for the moment? Escape.
Escape.
Yeah, that's pretty good. And then maybe then just ism on the end. Ism. Just
Ism.
yeah, ism. So although
Ism.
it's an S, a lot it sort of comes out a bit zedy, I think, for a lot of people. So you could do it as ism, but a lot of people put a bit of a Z sound in it. Escapism. So do you want to just do it?
Escapism.
Yeah, yeah. That's it. I think you've got it there. That's really good.
Escapism.
Yeah, yeah. That's it. You probably can't get a lot better than that. That's really good. Well done. That's good.
Mhm.
Um, Oh, let's go down. And then notice this word here at the bottom. This word, I think, occurs about three times in the thing that we've just read. And it's one of these tricky words in English where it isn't really obvious what you're saying. So it sort of means something like despite this word. So let's practice it a little bit. So let me just put it up here. Get rid of some of those words there. So that's something else. I don't know why that's there. So this is the word we're talking about here. So this is though. This is though. And I think maybe one time you said something like toff, toff. So if the H wasn't there, if I delete that H, the beginning H, that is really what you were saying, and you're spot on. That is pretty much what tough, I suppose. Tough.
Of.
Yeah, but that isn't the word. So that's tough. So with this word here, I would pronounce that something like if I put it in sort of my spelling. Something like that. Tough. Does that make sense? Tough. But that wasn't the word. So if I put the H back in again, boom, it's gone back in. So with that H, it's a completely different word and we say something completely different. So this is though, believe it or not. So it means despite. This word really means despite. So it's a bit tricky. So do you fancy just trying this word again? So though.
Though.
Yeah, that's pretty good. A bit
Though.
louder. Oh yeah, though.
Though.
That's it. Yeah, yeah. No. Your TH is getting there, I think. That's right, yes. So the
But
TH
is
is
the
always a bit
past is not the past of think.
the sorry?
The past of to think. Think.
The,
To think.
oh no, if I put a no, there's another that's another word, I think. I think you're referring to so this word is though on the screen there in
Though.
blue. If I
Though.
now put out I think the word you're saying is so that's though again. If I put a T on the end, that's thought.
To.
Yeah. This is what's tricky. One of the tricky things about English. Get rid of tough there. So they look almost exactly the same,
Ah,
but they're
okay.
completely different words, and I don't think they have anything to do with each other, really, in truth. So this one is though, and this one is thought. It's completely different meanings, really, aren't they? Very tricky, very tricky. Um,
Oof.
okay, so let's listen to them say though anyway. So, oh, there's
though,
though. Yeah,
though,
yeah, though. It's quite a long word, but it's said so quickly. Though, strange, isn't it? Okay, so let's go back to where we were. So make a note of that one, maybe. There we go. Anything else you've noticed? Anyone else notice anything that have a question about, and they want to ask? Anything you've noticed, Eliza, that you want to ask about here before we move on? I think that should be over Ruslan, I should say. I liked how you said illumined. So a lot of people would have got that wrong and have got that wrong, but you had it spot on. That's exactly how it said, illumined, which is a strange, an odd word. It's quite a very peculiar word, really. That's it. Maybe one final thing. I think so. When you said events, I think you sort of missed out the T, and it sounded very much like evens. I think when you said it. Does that make sense? So that's the word that's on the screen, but what I heard you say was that word. So you missed out, you sort of missed the T that was here, sort of a thing. Does that make sense? So I'll just say both these words for you. So this top one is evens, evens. And this second one is events, events. So an event is when something happens. Oh, there's an event tomorrow. I'm going I'm going on holiday or something. That's a strange kind of event, but yes. So that's an event. And if something is evens, it's sort of the opposite to odd. So the number 4 is an even number, you might say. So does that make sense? What I'm saying there, Elisa? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah, it does make sense.
Okay, hopefully.
Events, events.
Yeah, okay. Okay, so let's thank you very much, Elisa. If it's okay if we go on to Ruslan now.
Yeah, very
I
good.
liked how you said this French name here. That's very good. That's a tricky name too. So you said, I think you said Guy Maupassant. So he was a
C'est
writer.
français.
Yeah,
Français. French,
yeah,
Maupassant.
that's it. Yeah, spot on. Yes, and French. So in English we say Guy, but in French we say Guy. Guy in French. So if you're going to say the whole thing in
Mhm.
French, it would be Guy at the beginning. But if an English person saw Guy, or Guy, they would simply say Guy. I should say. So it's a bit tricky how to pronounce that. There's sort of two ways, and you've got to think about who's listening, I suppose. So, Ruslan, I don't know if you've read this one already, but read as much as you want, and it's over to you.
Okay, good. Mm. I'm sorry, I don't know any foreign languages. I prefer those writers that have been translated into my native tongue. There is an entire chasm of stars this day. That is true, an entire chasm. But if you follow the criteria laid down, you can find room for them here too. Well, give some examples, then, so I can try and counter them. How about Kafka? Did you devour? Did you devour the story of land? sur, surveyor, surveyor, surveyor K in one night. Of course, that goes without saying. I can see you are captivated by the era. Absolutely not. What do you think about the antipodeans? About who? I pointed towards the ground. My interlocutor was confused for a few seconds. Oh, you mean those? Yes, of course. Where everyone walks around upside down. Which of the Latin Americans do you particularly like? Marquez, I suppose. It rained for 4 years, 11 months and 2 days. I don't know why he left the need to uh, divide that work into parts, pages, paragraphs. It does not even need any punctuation marks, as it's one mad, unending spiral. Well, I won't object if you were to mention Borges and Cortázar. However, you you have up you have used up your best card. What are you going to do now with the game far from over? You are very difficult to emulate. Here I addressed him by his name, which I promise not to divulge, and he politely bowed his head without realizing I had just uh, softened the blow of my next move. It concerned the middle game in particular, but I was thinking that we had not got there yet, so I just moved to the knights and bishops forward. Is that so? Are the rook and the queens next? I'm all yours. Don't laugh. It is an Anglicism. Yes, one of them even writers in English. Radish, Radish. Satanic, uh, satanic verses. I have heard of it, but not read it.
Yes, that was very good. Well done. Well done. Very good.
Thank you, thank you.
And I think you have read this bit before, or maybe there was the word divulge is in here somewhere. And I remember the first time you read it, it was tricky. But I think it might have been on the other page. The word divulge comes up, doesn't it? But you had it
Oh, it
spot
is
on.
here. I
Mm.
promise not to divulge. Can
That's
you
it.
see
Yeah,
it now?
yeah. Yeah, it's on this page somewhere.
Uh,
And you said it
yeah,
very well. You
okay.
said it very well. But it might have been last week or earlier this week. But you didn't
Yeah,
come out quite right the first time you said it. But you've really got it
yeah,
spot on.
it was
Oh, there it is.
tricky.
There,
Yeah, it was
divulge. There
tricky.
it is. Yeah. No, you've
Yeah,
got it. It's
yeah,
brilliant. Well
yeah.
done. Very good. That's great.
Yeah,
And I
but
think,
problem is with
hmm,
Divava. See,
yeah,
I need some time to remember
yeah,
it.
yeah. There's devour.
Divava.
Yeah. So what does it mean? What does the word devour mean?
Divava, we can understand it like
Mm.
eating, yeah, and some
Yes, that's it.
process,
Yeah. But it's sort
and
of
probably it means something
mm,
else, yeah.
Um, it's a little bit more than eating. Yes, it is eating, but it's sort of eating perhaps as a lion may eat its meal. It sort of gorges it down. It doesn't sort of pick at it slowly. Like with a knife and fork, we might eat our meal over half an hour or something. But devour is to eat it quickly
Okay.
and to be so enjoying what you're eating, I suppose, that you can't control yourself. Almost. That's some of those
Hmm.
ideas are in there. Let's just bring up the dictionary, see what the dictionary says. So eat, food or prey. Oh, that's true. So as I said, a lion might eat its prey. Might be said to devour its meal or something. Hungrily or quickly. He devoured half his burger in one bite. Yeah, that's devouring, I would say. Destroy completely. If something gets devoured, you could say it's been destroyed completely. That's true. If you and it says here too, read quickly or eagerly. So you might devour a book because it's so good or something like that. So there's a few ways it could be used, but it's always this idea of it being something being consumed quickly or with a lot of enjoyment, sort of a thing, or a lot of pleasure. A book being devoured or food being devoured. So devour. Do you want to try again? Devour.
Devour.
Yeah, no, that's it.
Devour.
Oh, your first one was the best one. That was really good. That was really good. Well done.
Yeah, and
Anything you want to go back over again? Anything that
next,
struck you? Yeah.
yeah, can you say please for me,
Mm.
survivor? How
Oh, yeah,
how
this one
does it
here.
should
So
sound? Yeah.
let me do those three words, those three sounds there. So land surveyor. Land surveyor K, actually it says.
Well,
So do you
so
remember what a
where?
surveyor is? What's a surveyor? So
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
surveyor.
yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So someone
So
who measures the
where?
ground, maps
So
it
where?
out. Um,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
there's the syllables are I'm saying sir at the front, sir, and the next syllable is they, and then there's the on the end. So
So where? Yeah.
um,
So where?
not
Yeah.
quite. So if I split up a little bit,
Mhm.
maybe. Whoops. So sir at the front, sir. The next bit I would say is
So,
they. So
uh,
survey,
so,
bay.
survey. Like a survey, yeah, like a survey.
Yes. So a person
It
who
sounds like
makes
a
a
survey,
survey.
yeah.
Yeah, a person who makes a survey is
Yeah,
a
a person
surveyor.
who makes a survey.
A person who makes a
Ah,
survey is
yeah.
a surveyor. A surveyor makes a survey.
Yeah, but for example, if I took
Mm.
a part of a survey, yeah, and the person who did it, yeah, it is survivor or
That's what you just said, I think, isn't it? So you can have a plan of a piece of land of a piece of land or of a building, and that could be called a survey on a piece of paper. So it's a drawing of a building, pretty much, or a piece of land. A drawing of a building, you could say, is a survey. The person who makes it is a surveyor. Surveyor. Does that make sense? I think that's what we're saying.
probably Tony, I think I mixed it with a survey. Like people can ask you, what do you think about it,
Yeah, it's
yeah,
essentially the
like
same word. There's a
the
slight
same word.
It's exactly the same
Ah,
word. If you think
ah,
about it, they're not measuring a piece of land, they're measuring people's ideas and what people believe. They're measuring something,
ah,
not land this time. They're measuring
okay.
ideas. So it's exactly the same word. But there is a slight difference in how you say the word so there's survey and there's survey. That probably hasn't helped now, has it? Let me put it into the dictionary. Hopefully the dictionary will make it slightly easier. I don't know if it will, of course, but So I just copied that straight from. Here we go. It's interesting. So it says survey a site, survey an area, and there's lots of possibilities. A survey. Okay, so let's bring up the dictionary. Let's see what it says. So I think I've hit enter. Let's see what it comes up with. Hopefully, oh yeah, here we go. So there's the noun and the verb. This is essentially the difference, isn't it? So if I bring the up slightly high, so the noun is pronounced
survey,
survey. The verb is pronounced
survey,
survey. So the emphasis goes on the end when it's the verb. When it's the noun, the emphasis goes at the beginning. Does that make sense? It's the same word, but the how it is said is just slightly different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Now,
So it's exactly
yeah,
the
yeah.
same
Now
word.
it is
So
clear. Yeah. Okay. The
yeah,
same words, but a sound on a different part of
yeah,
words. Yeah.
that's it. You put the emphasis on this.
Survey and
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
It
and
is survey
survey and
and
survey.
next and
Yeah,
survey,
yeah.
survey,
Well,
survey.
yeah, that's pretty much it. Yes, that's pretty much it, I think. That's it. Yeah. So that was what was confusing.
Okay.
Yeah, it is terribly
Yeah,
confusing, isn't
yeah.
it?
It is.
So there are some words in English where it's a verb and a noun are pronounced differently like that. There are a few, and there's even a few you don't realize. I don't realize it until I'm saying it, and I suddenly realize, oh dear, yes. And sometimes with the noun and the verb, I'm sure you realize this. They're pronounced the same, but they're spelt differently. And of course,
Mhm.
practice is a classic one. There's a C on the end, or near the end, or there's an S on the end, depending on the verb or the noun. I've forgotten which way around it is now. Okay, so it's tricky. It's a very tricky, isn't it? It is. It's
Yeah,
a
true.
tricky.
Yeah.
All languages are tricky, and there's lots of little tricks like that in every language. But English has a lot of them too. Sorry about that, guys. I apologize for English. Okay.
Yeah.
Anything else there? Anything?
Anti Antipodeans. Antipodines. Yeah.
You're almost there, actually. You're not far off. But I know it looks like anti, but it isn't anti. Every time you have anti, you think, oh, it's got to be anti. Oh, well, this is one of those situations where has the meaning, but we don't say it that way. The way we say it is antipodians,
Uh,
antipodians,
anti Antipodians.
that's it,
Antipodians.
pretty much
Antip
antipodians.
Antipodians.
That's
Anti
hold on.
Antipodians.
So it's an, then tip, then we sort of say Odeans, Antipodians,
Okay.
Antipodians, you're almost there.
Anti
Yeah.
Anti-audience.
Well,
Anti-audience.
I think I can't hear the tip bit. I hear you saying an, but I don't hear tip.
Okay.
Antipodians, Antipodians, Antipodians.
Anti-audience. Antipodians.
No, no. That was the last. I think you had it then. You did have it at the end there. Actually, you did say it. Well done. I laughed because you just missed it. Oh dear. Maybe we're going. We'll leave it for the moment. Maybe we'll come back to it. Maybe we'll come back to it.
Yeah,
But it
okay,
was good
nice.
reading, I thought. There was this name here I noticed. So this is a name of an English writer. This is his surname. He's called Rushdie. That's
Yeah.
his surname, Rushdie. I think I can't
Rushdie.
think. Yeah, Rushdie. It looks like Rush Die, but we don't say it that way. It's just pronounced Rushdie. Rushdie. That's
Oh,
his surname. His
Rushdie.
first name. His first name is Salman Rushdie. He's quite famous, fairly famous anyway. And he wrote this book here, Satanic Verses. He's the author of that book. He's,
Satanic verses. Yeah, satanic verses.
yeah. The reason he's
Satanic
famous.
means it is. Yeah.
Mm,
Okay.
yeah, you're right. So satanic is basically something of the devil. So it's the same
Oh yeah,
idea as
okay, okay.
another word for devil, something of the devil. There is this there is this idea or is it idea or there is this belief by some people that the devil tried to put into the Quran some of his verses in the Quran, and they're referred to here as the satanic verses. Obviously, some people find that blasphemous, others take it just as a story. But the people who took it incredibly serious. They put a fatwa on Rushdie, and a fatwa basically means this person should die for what he said. And for more than 10 years, or about 10 years, he'd had to live in hiding because people wanted to kill him because of what he wrote in this book. And so he
Mm,
actually was in hiding. Yeah. And as a result, I think people still hate him for the book that he wrote.
mm.
Okay, so and I might get some hate mail now myself as
Okay.
well, of course. So it's a serious business making writing, isn't it? So anything else here that anyone wants to ask about, or Ruslan, you want to ask about here?
How about divide? Is it okay? Yeah, divide.
Divide,
Need,
as in cut
yeah,
something
need to
into in
divide.
half. Divide. Just put
Yeah, it's probably
div. Whoops. Oh blast! Missed out the V. How do I do that? My spelling is so bad, and the E. Missed out the E as well. Divide. Yeah. So yeah, that
yeah.
sounds pretty good. Divide. I can hear there's a slight W when you're saying the V, but yeah, you've pretty much got it.
Okay.
Divide. The. Do you want to say it out loud a bit?
Shall I ask you?
Hmm.
Shall I ask you what is different between divide and separate?
Um, I'm not sure there's a great deal of difference. So you could have. You can definitely interchange them. You can swap one for the other to some
Okay,
degree.
swap. Yeah, we can swap. Okay.
Yeah, there's probably some
Okay.
situations where you couldn't, but
Sorry,
generally you could.
maybe the
Yeah.
divide is refer to something the same no, sorry, separated
Hmm.
the same things smash in different parts because no,
Hmm.
it's not that because I think about apartheid is um, is divided. They said equal but divided.
Hmm. Well, I've just searched this on the screen. I don't know if that's. Oh, here we go. So the
Is
term.
this
This is.
one? I mean,
Sorry.
is this is the meaning I tried to explain?
Oh, it says it here for you. Okay, let me read it out then. So divide and separate, understanding the differences. The term divide and separate are often used interchangeably, so they can be swapped around, often, but not always. But they have distinct meanings. Divide typically implies splitting something into equal or manageable portions, such as cutting a pizza into slices. In contrast, separate suggests creating distinct or individual entities or
Yeah.
bits or parts, like grouping people into different classes. So you might use them in different situations, is what they're trying to say. Both actions involve creating boundaries or distinctions. So you are separating things with both of them, but one is slightly different. But the emphasis differs between the two. So in mathematics, it's the opposite of multiplication, isn't it? Um, It's just really where you can use them in the English language, really. So let's just put divide. Let's put sep r. Have I spelled it right? I have. Sep. Right, sep. No, I missed that and put the T there, haven't I? Sep r. Forgive my spelling, it's absolutely terrible. So separate. I should have left those words up there, so that was quite useful. Um, so, oh, here we go. So I took off the E and it's brought up all those options of other words that they might put on the end of it. So, oh, bottom. So separate a layer. You see, you might separate a layer of something. You might separate a layer of a cake. So you're building a cake and it's gone wrong. You might want to separate it again. I'll separate it again. I want to put the cake back together in a different way. Or you separate something that you're building at work, perhaps. But you wouldn't, it doesn't make sense to say divide it. Does that make sense? Um,
Yeah, yeah,
you might separate a pair of friends, you might separate a pair of things from each other. But
yeah,
it's slightly different to say might divide a pair.
yeah.
You might talk about
Yeah,
separate
probably.
accommodation. You might talk about separate accommodation. Men sometimes live in separate accommodation from women, but you wouldn't quite make sense as a divide accommodation. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. This is a good one. So separate an egg. So you have a yolk and the and the white, don't you? You might separate an egg. So you take out the yolk from the white. Separate. You might do it in cooking sometimes. But if you divided an egg, it just sounds like you're cutting it down the middle. Does that make sense?
yeah.
There's a
It
slight
should
different
be if
feeling. Yeah.
we yeah if we divide something, yeah, it should be equally, yeah. For
Not. I
example,
don't know about should
but
be. I know that
separate.
AI said, "Oh, it should be," but AI isn't always right. It just sounds like you're cutting it in the middle somewhere. It could be off to one
In the
side. It
middle,
doesn't
yeah.
have to be. It could be you've been cutting it right off the edge. If you just divide it, it doesn't. It doesn't quite. There's a vague idea of it being roughly half, but it's completely different, say, from separating an egg. It's just how it gets
Okay,
used. It's just something you're going to have to find out when you would use separate and when you would use divide, I guess. You might have a separate bathroom, so or sort of bathroom or bedroom. So women use this bathroom and men use that bathroom. But it doesn't make any sense to talk about a divided bathroom. I don't know what that would
mm,
be. Does that make sense?
mm,
There's different ways how it
yeah,
could be
yeah.
used. So it's a very good question. Now, I wish I had a better answer. But there you go. Okay, so we did Antipodeans, we did surveyor, devour, and there was one other word. And it was the word spiral. That's right. You said spiral, but it's actually, let me
Ye-
think. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, and actually how it should be.
See, it does look like spiral, but we pronounce it as spiral. Spiral.
um,
Yeah. Do you want to?
Spiral,
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's it. And again, spiral.
spir- spiral,
That's it. Spiral. Spiral.
spiral,
It sounds as
spiral.
if I suppose I'm saying it sounds almost the A isn't quite the right sound. It sounds like almost like I think of it as an E sound that you're making almost here. So that vowel, think about the sound I'm making when I say that vowel. So spiral, spiral, something like spiral, spiral,
Spiral,
spiral.
spiral,
I've misled you now.
spiral,
Spiral, spiral, spiral.
spiral,
Yeah, yeah. We'll leave it at that. Yeah.
spiral.
Yeah, that's pretty close. I'd say it's about 75%, 80% on that one. One's a bit more practice, that one. So maybe the AI engine will come up with that on its list as a
Mhm,
practice if you have time later.
mhm.
Okay. So sorry, Carlo, we've really, really overrun. So I hope you're still with us, Carlo. So I'll keep you waiting.
Hello, no problems,
So
Tony.
just before we
Don't
finish with this
worry.
page here, does anyone have any more other questions about this passage we just read? This little bit?
Not for me. It's all clear.
Great, yes. Okay. Well, okay, let's go over then. So sorry about the delay, Carlo, and thanks very much, Ruslan.
No
It's very
problem.
good.
Thank you.
So this is the end of the story. This is exactly where it ends here. So, okay, this is your one,
Okay.
Carlo. Just to interrupt you slightly. So it mentions this here. This is in italics, and this is the title of another story that that Salman Rushdie wrote. So Rushdie is that chap who had the death threat over him, and had to live in hiding for more than 10 years. So over to you, Carlo.
Okay. From the beginning?
Yeah, top of the page if you can. That's great.
Top of the
Thanks.
page. Okay. So, you better of reading Midnight's Children, poetry in prose, luxuriant, fragrant poems, each page with its own inimitable flavor, each chapter convincing us of a new wonder, the whole book conveying the quintessence of India. Yes, you're right. After reading it, any desire you had of going there just vanishes. Who else? Oran Pamuk. Of course, we're in Turkey after all. But what about the Nobel Committee? I made an exception in his case. Intriguing collection. Who then is your queen? Recently, I've been whiling away my nights with Murakami. How detached I've become from life. Another great man of letters, and this time Japanese. Anyway, we've got to our destination. You can't go any further. I looked around. We were standing not far from a colossal tower with battlements between which I could easily imagine archers hiding, with arrows resting on taut bowstrings. The tower looked like one of those rooks with which, as I thought, I had managed to checkmate the Grand Master. Across a water-filled moat was a bridge, which would inevitably have to be drawn up just as soon as my interlocutor entered the tower. Eva was snuffling, sorry. Eva was snuffling peacefully on my shoulder. The writer pointed to her. What a pity nobody overheard the extraordinary conversation I would like to have had with you. It doesn't matter. Nothing is lost. I'm glad it turned out as it did. Who minds that we never actually knew each other, that there were no circumstances under which you could have recognized me, and that, if we had met today, we would have gone our separate ways at first turning, instead of which I am now having an imaginary dialogue with myself out of one of my own self-instructional book of inspiration.
Wow.
Oh,
That was,
I,
yeah,
I lost the meaning because I
yeah,
was focused on the rhythm. And
yeah.
so,
I must say that was
mm,
brilliantly read because if I read at that speed, I would have made lots of mistakes. That's very
no,
well read, I
I
thought.
don't think so. Sorry, because you are a native
Oh,
speaker. And so
I, I th
I'm practicing a lot. I'm practicing a lot because of you
okay.
and thanks of you.
Wow.
Um,
No,
In
I can
Italy, we
see it.
say a good teacher. Sorry. In Italy, we say a good teacher, a good pupil, a good student.
Well,
Yeah,
a good pupil, definitely. I agree with
yeah,
the good pupil bit there. Not so much of a
yeah.
good teacher. Very good. It is impressive. I couldn't have read at that speed. I would have tripped up quite a few times, I think, made mistakes. And I didn't really see any real mistakes as such, to be honest. Very good. Um, yeah, the meaning, it is tricky to get the meaning if you're trying to get the sound over, the feeling over, as you were doing. It's very tricky. Um, but for the overall story over these 5 pages, my feeling is that it's quite important, this little bit here at the end where it says, of which I'm now having an imaginary dialogue, which is a very strange thing to say. So when you have an imaginary dialogue, what do you think that means? Imaginary dialogue as an
Is speaking
idea.
with the with himself.
Yeah, I think this is what we said
Ah,
last time, isn't it? Yes.
yeah.
He's talking to himself in his own head. Maybe it's
Mm-hmm.
out loud he's talking to himself, or maybe it's just in his head.
Mm-hmm.
But he also adds, with myself out of one of my own
Mm-hmm.
self-instructional books of inspiration. So he seems to have written a self-instructional book on inspiration, and he's talking to himself out of that book. Very strange.
Yeah. It is a very familiar activity to
Oh,
me
you
because
do
I
that, do
speak
you?
with myself
Right. Okay.
every day.
Yeah, I think in truth we do that all the time,
Yeah.
but it's more. it- but he's really having a conversation. He
Yeah.
really is having a conversation. If you go back to the other pages, he's talking about discussing these other actors, these other writers. He's a writer too, and he's
Mm-hmm.
discussing these other writers, saying about what they're good at. But it really sounds like there's two people having a discussion because he's walking together with this other person. He pointed at his daughter at one point, or Eva. Do you remember that? He
Mm-hmm.
pointed somewhere, which is, and they're discussing Salman Rushdie. And this, I don't quite. We do talk to ourselves. We don't have a discussion with ourselves, do we? I don't know. Not in quite this detail, anyway. Well, this was your page here. So, anything you want to ask about this? The thing you've read out here, if you remember any of it, any particular words. I remember Murakami came up before, and
Yeah.
you have the book. I think you said.
I have one book
Oh,
about
one book.
Murakami.
Yeah, yeah.
It is a gift from a friend of mine,
Mm.
but I have not read it yet.
And you feel guilty, do you, or no?
And I feel guilty because um, it is already 5 years ago that I
Mm.
received that. And so I have a lot to read,
Yes.
but that is one of my in my wish list,
Mm.
in my priority list. And so, but I don't have that book with me here in Bergamo.
Mm. So I
I
say you.
left it in my mother's house down in
Yes.
southern Italy. But anyway,
Yes.
I will.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sure you will. I think maybe I should too, actually. I heard you just say the word southern Italy. So in English, this
Mhm.
comes up as southern. Southern.
Southern, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. No, you got it. You've got it.
Hmm.
Well done.
Southern.
And I think you read this same piece before. Maybe I could read the same thing again, just as I did
Hmm.
last time. And let's practice this first bit here. Some of these words, these beginning words, the way we say them, I know they have a Latin origin, but we say them, I think, slightly differently to you. So luxuriant, that's how we say this word, luxuriant.
Luxuriant.
Mm, okay. And fragrant,
Fragrant.
that's fantastic. Maybe inimitable.
Inimitable.
Yeah, spot on. So inimitable
Uh,
means it
yeah.
can't be copied,
Yeah,
really.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
so good
It's
you
quite
just
the same in
can't copy
Italy.
it.
Hmm.
Ah, yes,
I
exactly.
said inimitable.
Yeah, I think that was,
Hmm.
perhaps not so obviously, but wasn't quite the
Inimitable. Inimitable. So, okay, okay, okay.
inimitable. Yeah,
Inimitable.
we
Hmm.
do rush the middle bit of the word, and it sort of comes out to the in bit gets reasonably clear, but then we rush the middle and we just hear the
Hmm.
tabble, I suppose. Inimitable, inimitable, inimitable.
Inimitable.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yes. So just for everybody else, so the in but is sort of an opposite, makes an opposite, just as un makes the opposite of most words. So in this case, it's an IN, has to be IN here. And if something is imitable, it means it can be imitated. So imitable means something can be imitated. So I might be able to imitate a piano player
Mhm.
if they're really bad at it. But if they're very good at it, they would be inimitable, and whereas they could not be copied because they're so good at it. That's a sort of a compliment, isn't it, for everybody else? And maybe this word here, we say it's slightly different to you. Again, another
Mhm.
Latin or Greek-based word, I think, isn't it? We say quintessence. So we say quin, then we say quintessence. Quintessence. Do you want to just say it that way? That's the English way, anyway. Quintessence.
Quintessence.
Yeah, that's it. Spot on. The quintessence. That's it. You've got it. And maybe, I think, or I don't actually, I'm not 100% certain I say this chap's name. Orhan Pamuk. Orhan. I think the H
Orhan.
was missed out. I
Mhm.
think, I can't remember now. Orhan Pamuk.
Orhan.
Yeah,
Orhan Pamuk.
um, it's just little details. Everything was very understandable. I could understand everything. What about the word snuffling? What does that mean? Snuffling.
Snuffling is
Hmm.
so I'm going with my imagination, no?
Okay. Yeah.
I'm trying to
Hmm.
guess. So snuffling could be uh, putting your nose on a friend's shoulder
Hmm.
and breathing slowly,
Hmm.
maybe. Snuffling on my shoulder. Maybe
Yes.
when you are sad, when you need support.
Oh.
I don't know. I'm imagining.
That's a good one. Good one. So while you were talking, I brought up the dictionary. I thought you might read the dictionary for me. So it says no object, I think it says there. Breathe noisily through the nose
Ah,
due to
okay.
a cold or crying. Alice was weeping quietly, snuffling a little. That's an example
Ah,
sentence.
okay, 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 okay. Understood. Yes.
So
When you,
Eva, the little child, was snuffling
mhm.
peacefully on my shoulder. That's all.
Yeah, when you have where you don't have chance to sneeze your nose
Yeah, to clear your
with a
nose, maybe.
napkin. Yeah, to clear
Mm,
with a napkin. So you snuffling. Okay, understood.
okay. So
I was a little bit more romantic in my
it was good.
imagination.
No, no, it's very good, very good. So let's practice this first paragraph or two up here. I'm sure I make many mistakes. I normally do. So here I go. So you're better off reading. uh, you're better off reading Midnight's Children. Poetry in prose. Luxuriant, fragrant poems. Each page with its own inimitable flavour. Each chapter convincing us of a new wonder, the whole book conveying the quintessence of India. Yes, you're right. After reading it, any desire you had of going there just vanishes. Who else? Orhan Pamuk. Of course, we're in Turkey, after all. But what about the Nobel Committee? I made an exception in his case. Intriguing collection. Who then is your queen? Recently, I've been whiling away my hours with Murakami. Murakami. I got the name wrong. How detached I've become from life. Another great man of letters, and this time Japanese. Anyway, we've got to our destination. You can't go any further.
Mm.
Okay. So do you want to give it one more go?
Yeah, of
Over
course.
to you. You'll go.
From the top of the page.
Yeah, as much as you want,
Okay.
really. I
Okay.
mean,
So, you're better off reading Midnight's Children, poetry in prose, luxuriant, fragrant poems, each page with its own inimitable flavor, each chapter convincing us of a new wonder, the whole book conveying the quintessence of India. Yes, you're right. After reading it, any desire you had of going there just vanishes. Who else? Orhan Pamuk. Of course, we're in Turkey after all. But what about the Nobel Committee? I made an exception in his case. Intriguing collection. Who then is your queen? Recently, I've been whiling away my nights with Murakami. Uh, do you want me to continue?
That was really good, actually. That,
Okay.
what you can do. That was really good. That was very good. And I think everywhere we sort of went over these words, I think you came up brilliantly in quintessence and everything. Yeah, very good. Brilliant. Okay. Um, so obviously we're reading a story, but and in a sense, it'd be a very normal thing to do. Just read it out loud as if you were reading it to yourself in your head. But what we're trying to do, of course, is we're trying to practice almost as if it were a conversation, as if we were talking to somebody. That's sort of what so we're sort of breaking the rules slightly because normally when you have a book, you just read it quickly and you don't go back over it again. It's all in your head. It's all at the same pace, probably quite quickly. But when we're having a
Hmm.
conversation, we leave gaps, we get a different pace, we may emphasize certain words that we think are really important. Like I said, we think are really important because someone else might think they're not important. And in a story, you probably wouldn't put emphasis on those words because you don't really know where the emphasis goes until you've read that sentence and then you sort of know, oh, that was probably quite important. It might go back in your mind, I suppose. So what we're doing here is, of course, we're sort of imagining we're as if we're having a conversation. We're putting this into the same level as a conversation
Hmm.
rather than reading it as a book out.
Yeah, yeah,
Or
yeah,
maybe
yeah.
you could say maybe you could pretend we're reading this perhaps to a child or reading it out to an audience and the audience is listening.
Hmm.
That's sort of what we're trying to do. At least that's what I think was what we're trying to do. That's the most beneficial part here because we're practicing in an essence conversation, but the conversation is written out ahead of us or written out before us, I should
Hmm.
say.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um,
Good to know. It's good advice because, yes,
yeah.
uh, ultimately, I'm not reading with
Mm.
my with loud voice, no, and so
With load,
low,
loading.
yeah, loud,
Oh, okay, loud.
yeah,
Yeah,
loud
okay.
voice, and so maybe
Right.
I lose my, how can I say, my practice in reading, like you explain.
Mm.
And so, yes, I will follow your suggestions
Mm.
to
Well,
imagine to
bear it in
read,
mind.
yeah,
Yeah.
to a child, to a wide audience,
Mm.
yes, or maybe thinking to dialogue with someone else.
Mm.
And so, yes, that could help me
Yeah.
for
Could be a
sure.
thought. Yeah. Um, Okay, so to go back to the overall meaning, perhaps in a general sense. So to everybody then, when it says imaginary dialogue, what does that make you think about the whole story? So now Ruslan, we've discussed this before. So and maybe even Carlo, we've discussed this before. But I think Elisa, we haven't said this before. I don't think you haven't been here before when we've said this. But so what does it make you think, you guys, when we talk about imaginary dialogue? Often at the end of a story or at the end of a film, not always, of course, there's what we would sometimes refer to as a twist in the tale. So it's as if you're expecting one thing to happen, but in the very last scene of the film or on the last page of the book, something very odd happens and you weren't expecting it. And that's often referred to as a twist in the tale. Twist in the tale. And I would say that the imaginary dialogue is the twist in the tale here.
Mhm.
It's very unexpected. I certainly wasn't
Mm.
expecting it. So, as I said previously, about 20 minutes ago, I think this little bit here where it says imaginary dialogue, it's basically saying everything is in his head.
Mm.
Everything is a discussion, some sort of strange discussion this person is having with himself. Recently, I've been whiling away my nights with Murakami. He's saying this to himself. Does that make sense? What do you think,
Mm.
Eliza or Ruslan or Carlo? Is that nutty or interesting? Unexpected, I think.
Unexpected, yeah.
Mm,
And yeah, what can I say about it? Yeah, in the end, we know that it was just him thoughts, yeah, and yeah, I think yeah, it is, he has good skills to create like this story, yeah,
mm,
and make us even. Even don't even uh, even how I say uh, even predict yeah that it could be just his thoughts, yeah, that's it
his
for what
thoughts.
I,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
You would never guess that until you got to the end.
yeah, I wanted to say about it, yeah.
Yeah. Um, I bought this book on Amazon, and I think I have to go back and rate the book. How many stars out of 5? One other person's given it a rating, and they gave it 5 stars out of 5. And I think I might go back and give this 5 out of 5 as well. But we've only read half the book, so okay. Any comments, Elisa? Any comments, Elisa, about what we've read? So we've read the whole thing over these last 2 weeks. It's only 5 pages, but it's
No,
okay. Good.
yeah, no.
Mm. It's interesting how he often talks about things that are to do with chess. And the phrase Grand Master is a chess, something to do with chess. If someone is a Grand Master, it means they're of the highest quality in playing chess, or of the highest quality, perhaps in the top 5 or 10 in the world, probably. And I think the Russians do seem to very often be in the top 10 of the world's best players at chess. And of course, checkmate is the winning move. If you get your opponent in checkmate, it means that you have won. That's the final phrase you might say at the end of the game.
Mm.
Um, and supposedly you say check if you're one move away from checkmate. So you say
Hmm.
check if you're one move away, and when you get to that point where you think you've won, you say checkmate.
Checkmate. Mm.
That's what we say in English anyway.
But mate in
Um,
English has a completely different meaning, you
yes,
know.
the
Mate
MATE, yes.
is like friend, buddy.
Yes, yes, that's right, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, strange, isn't it?
It's
Yes.
strange, yeah.
Yeah. It must come from another language, I guess. There's lots of phrases and words in this game. It's been played for perhaps definitely hundreds of years, perhaps 1,000 or more years. I think it started in China, I think originally. Slightly different game, but basically the same in its sense. Um, And a lot of this chap's stories, so this is one story, but some of the other ones we've read previously, they seem to have chess words in there, things to do with chess in the story. Other people playing the game of chess. Very, very unusual. Obviously likes chess, this guy, the writer.
Hmm.
I think someone, so maybe Carlo, what does whiling again mean? I think we had this previously. What does whiling mean? Do you remember?
No,
Oh,
I don't.
whiling.
I'm sorry.
So these two words very often go together in this sort of
Mm.
when this
It's
idea is being.
it's a phrase or verb.
Yes, that's right. Yes, it's a
Mm.
bit of something of an idiom, I guess.
Ah, so whiling. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You explained me
Hmm.
the last time.
So if you took
So,
off the
mm,
ing, then e would
while.
suddenly appear. So it's while. That's it.
Mm,
Yes.
yeah.
So if you're waiting a while, it means you're waiting for some
Mm-hmm.
time to pass, you might say.
Yeah.
And whiling away has the same sort of an
Mm,
idea. You're just waiting for time to pass.
yeah. Now I
You're doing
remember.
something innocuous. Perhaps you're
Mm-hmm.
counting the dots on the ceiling or something.
Mm-hmm,
You
mm-hmm.
might be doing anything.
Yes, now I remember.
Yeah, that's it. And here, of course, he appears to be reading Murakami, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I love this idea. Love the idea with. He's not reading it, but he's with Murakami. So it's interesting. So I wonder if you
Yeah.
read the book, you get the idea that you're with the person rather than just reading their book. So it's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So maybe we'll finish it there, or but we'll stop the recording anyway, I think. And so let's go back to our starting photo.
Mhm.
I'll somehow try to stop the recording. Oh, what's that? Oh, it's that button there, I think, isn't it?